Alright, today we are playing mono red Belcher, and this deck either tries to one-shot opponents with Goblin Charbelcher. Upon activation, you keep revealing cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. And then Goblin Charbelcher deals damage equal to the number of non-land cards that you reveal that way to any target, but you typically pick your opponent. The catch is this deck doesn't play any lands, at least not in the main board. So you also always hit your opponent for massive amounts of damage. That's one way to win. The other way to win is to cast a Stormscale Scion. And this spell has Storm, so whenever you cast it, you can copy it for each spell cast before it in that same turn. And there's another ability that says other dragons you control get +1/+1. So if you generate a bunch of Storm, cast a few cards, let's say 3, you end up with 4 creatures that are 7/7s because they give each other +1/+1. And they have flying. So this deck is pretty fun. It doesn't play any lands in the main board. It plays all these dual lands like Pinnacle Monk, Shatterskull Smashing, Sundering Eruption, Spikefield Hazard, Valakut Awakening. Some of these lands like Spikefield Hazard and Valakut Awakening, they come into play tapped. So you ideally want to play that on turn 1 to maintain your tempo. Other lands like Pinnacle Monk allow you to pay 3 life and then it comes into play untapped. Sometimes the front of these cards is also relevant, like Spikefield Hazard could deal with a 1/1 creature. Valakut Awakening allows you to basically discard your hand or put your hand back into your library and draw that many cards +1. Comes in handy sometimes. Pinnacle Monk is just a beater in case you can't get through with Scion or Charbelcher. And additionally, you have Shatterskull Smashing, which also allows you to deal with some creatures or planeswalkers. And Sundering Eruption, which could deal with your opponent's lands, such as Tron lands or Urza's Saga. Well, the way to play this is to play lands, either tapped or untapped, and generate some mana with, for example, Strike It Rich, which nets you a treasure token. And then using either Desperate Ritual or Pyretic Ritual, you generate some red mana to finally cast Ironcrag Feet. This spell adds 7 mana, but the catch is that you can only cast 1 more spell after that. But Charbelcher costs 4, the activation costs 3, so after casting Ironcrag Feet, you can cast Goblin Charbelcher and activate it right away. You can do the same with Stormscale Scion. You still have 1 mana left, and that mana you could spend on Bitter Reunion. So Bitter Reunion is a 2 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you're allowed to discard a card, and then you draw 2 cards, so it nets you 1 card. You get some card selection as well, because you can discard the card that you don't need at that point in the game. And that 1 mana could go to its second effect, which is this enchantment could be sacrificed, and then creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. So if you're able to generate some Storm or just cast Ironcrag Feet, you always get 2 Stormscale Scions at least. And then with the 1 floating red mana, you could sack Bitter Reunion to give them haste and possibly also one-shot your opponent. Besides this, there's 4 Mana Morphos with Ruby Medallion. This will also generate mana, much like the rituals. Ruby Medallion is useful to play on turn 2, turn 3, but it's not strictly necessary because you can use these rituals to finally cast Ironcrag Feet with just a few lands as well. And main board, you play 2 Blood Moon, which could be useful in some cases. You could have this out by turn 2. If you have 2 lands and a ritual, you could churn out a Blood Moon by turn 2. In the sideboard, there's 2 additional Blood Moon for Tron matchups, possibly Titan, other land-heavy decks. 2 Cleansing Wildfire, again to deal with lands. 3 Defense Grid, mostly against control decks, so they can't really interfere with your combo, because all their spells cost 3 more mana on your turn. 1 Guttural Response, similarly, you can use this against a Force of Negation or a simple counterspell. There's 1 Mountain in case you're facing land destruction decks or decks that have Boseiju. You could board in the Mountain, possibly board out something like a Spikefield Hazard to maintain your land count. And then when they destroy one of your lands, you get to search your library for a basic, which would be the Mountain. So when they apply that effect once, you don't lose out on your lands. There's 3 Pyroclasm for creature heavy decks such as Energy or Affinity. Raise the Effigy is mostly against artifact decks, artifact hate. Pithing Needle is a big one that can be used against Goblin Charbelcher. There is another artifact that basically stops you from comboing off, that stops your storm stuff. I forgot what the name was. If you know it, let me know. And there's some other artifact things that could interfere with your plan. Then there's 1 Vexing Bauble. Again, this could work against the Force of Negation, against affinity decks that play a lot of 0 mana spells, as well as Neoform. So this doesn't allow them to get their Allosaurus Rider out, because Allosaurus Rider is typically cast by exiling 2 green cards, and this would counter Allosaurus Rider, so they can never Neoform if you have this out. Alright, let's play. Please like and subscribe. Means the world to me. Thank you. Alright, we are on the draw. We have a 1-lander, so I think we have to maul this. We have a 2-lander. This is a tap land. Pinnacle Monk can come into play untapped as a land. I think this is a keep. Let's get rid of the Bitter Reunion. So we have 2 rituals to ritual into Charbelcher and possibly activate it at some point. Opponent is playing a shadowy Backstreet and Surveils. Keeps the card on top. Alright. Possibly blink. Draw a glimpse. We'll just play out our tap land and pass the turn. Next turn we could shock in Pinnacle Monk. Cast a ritual, cast another ritual, cast out Charbelcher. Although they could have that Witch Enchanter that could get rid of artifacts. Opponent plays a Psychic Frog. Let's see what we draw. That is nice, that wins us the game. Because now we can play this land, pay 3 life. We will go Ritual. We won't splice it, we will go Ritual. Net 1 mana. It's met with a Force, alright. That's too bad. Maybe we should have started off with a Strike at the Rich. Opponent decides not to force it, okay. I guess then we will cast our Glimpse, because the Charbelcher for sure will be met with a force of negation. Ah, opponent decides to force the glimpse. Okay. Pitching a subtlety. Okay. Fine. If we draw a land next turn, we can still try to go for Charbelcher. Otherwise we will just cast a Strike It Rich. Opponent plays a Flooded Strand. Attacks with a 1/2 frog. Draws a card, fetches. Not completely sure what we are up against. It's not Blink. It's probably some Murktide deck. This is good. No open blue mana. Okay. Opponent ephemerates the Quantum Riddler. So we could get a Belcher and activate it this turn if we draw a land. Untapped land. Let's see. Manamorphose. Yeah, gives us one look at least at another card. Make red, that's it. Play. Could go for Strike It Rich. Why not? And then a Desperate Ritual. And then defeat. Maybe we should have kept the Strike It Rich. Doesn't really make sense. There goes Charbelcher. And we have enough mana to activate it. Yep. Alright. That's game. Now we have to put everything back into our library. Unless our opponent concedes. The order doesn't matter because we've already won. The opponent is at minus 35 life. Alright, so we've won. Let's see, sideboarding. Blood Moon is interesting. I think Defense Grid is good against control decks. Not sure if our opponent would bring in artifacts against our deck. Guttural Response is good against counter spells. Vexing Bauble is some protection against a Force of Negation. Opponent might bring in some hate against Charbelcher. Might not be aware of our Stormscale plan. On the play though, I think we could go down one Blood Moon. On the draw, sorry, we could go down one Blood Moon. Vexing Bauble only works against Force. Subtlety. Yeah, let's keep that in. We'll go down on the Strike It Rich and 2-Bitter Reunion. Just try it like this. Vexing Bubble also hits Ephemerates, Solitudes, Subtleties, unless they are actually cast by paying mana. Again, a 1-lander, so we'll mull this. Rest of the hand is pretty good. Two lands, a Ritual Blood Moon. So this could get us a Blood Moon on turn 2. I think we will get rid of this Iron Crag feat then. Keep the rest. If our opponent taps out turn 2 for a frog, we could Blood Moon. Opponent surveils and bins Ephemerate. Find another medallion, okay. Let's play this monk tapped and pass the turn. Opponent kept a 1-lander, alright. That is likely game, because we will shock in this land, cast our Ritual. Cast Blood Moon. Okay, opponent forces. Pitching Subtlety, sure. Opponent found their second land, unfortunately. Will likely cast the frog now. We're a bit out of gas. We have 2 rituals, 2 medallions. Opponent shocks in a Hallowed Fountain and casts a frog indeed. Let's see what we draw. Shatterskull Smashing. We can't kill the frog with this, not yet. If we get 2 medallions out, no, we'll just cast our medallion, play the Shatterskull Smashing as a land without paying 3 life and pass the turn. So Charbelcher or Stormscale would do it. We could go Ritual, Iron Crag, and then Belcher or Stormscale. Opponent will likely have counter magic though. 1 blue mana up, they draw a card. Do they find their 3rd land? Oh, they discard a card. They discard Solitude to find another land. This might be Goryo's. Let's open up their graveyard. Sundering Eruption. Could go after one of their lands. Their blue land. Let's cast this medallion, see what happens. Yeah, I guess we will go after their blue land, their blue mana. Do they have a basic island in the deck? They do. Alright, pass. Like I said, we're a bit out of gas. We do have 2 medallions in play. But opponent is ahead on board. They have a frog that could hit us, draws a card every turn. Opponent found their 4th land. They don't fetch more blue, so they still can't pay for Force of Negation without pitching something. Okay, they have White Orchid Phantoms. It's good to know. Maybe we should board in a mountain. Game 3. Because I think we will go to game 3. Another ritual. Yeah, we just have to pass. Opponent could ephemerate the White Orchid Phantom. Will likely do so. First hits us for 4. Down to 10. Yep, there's Ephemerate. Because of the 2 medallions, we could still use all our spells here. But it's likely that on their upkeep they will Ephemerate the Phantom again. This doesn't do much. We'll just play it as a land. Pass the turn. We could go after their island, but they could just fetch another blue source. Opponent casts their Ephemerate. Maybe we should also try to maul into Vexing Bauble to avoid Ephemerate, Solitude's forces. Opponent could not yet kill us by discarding their hand. They just attack with the frog. So the White Orchid Phantom is summoning sick. Cast another frog, okay. Let's see. Another ritual. I think this is game. This could be a 7. Yeah, unfortunately. Just didn't draw anything. No gas. Let's see. I think on the play we want to have a Blood Moon. We do want to have the mountain. Could board in Pyroclasms. Not super good, I guess. We will go down 1 Charbelcher for a Blood Moon. Since it's kind of worse with a mountain in the deck, and we will get rid of a Spike Field Hazard. Alright, we are on the play. Always have to see which lands come into play tapped and which possibly don't. So this is a tapped land. These 2 can come into play untapped. This is a turn 2 Blood Moon. Yeah, let's keep this. So we'll lead on the tap land. Opponent mauls down to 6. Play and pass. Opponent will likely have a force. Another Blood Moon. So now we could just try to get this Blood Moon out since we have another one. I think I'll use this Shatter Skull. Cast Ritual. cast Blood Moon. Opponent will likely fetch in response, unless they force this. Doesn't seem like they have a force of negation. They get a basic plains. That could indicate that they have Ephemerate. Pass the turn. Or they have a White Orchid Phantom in hand. Far away from casting Frog. Most of their lands are likely fetch lands or shock lands. It's unlikely that they have basic lands in their hand, since they might only play 3 of them. Okay, they do have a basic island. They cast Quantum Riddler, that's fine. 2 mana, draw a card. Okay. Let's see, Valakut Awakening. Could Manamorphose. Could cast another Blood Moon. Could also go Valakut Awakening. Let's first go Manamorphose, see what we draw. Make 2 red. A Ritual. In that case, I'll shock in this land. Cast Valakut Awakening. Get rid of the Ritual and the Blood Moon. Maybe Iron Crag as well. Yeah, let's just get rid of our whole hand. Okay. Pass the turn. Guess we will get this defense grid out. Maybe go after their blue mana. Or their white mana. They could ephemerate this now, unfortunately. Yep. Let's see, what do we draw? A monk. So we could go after a white mana, but that might give them black mana. Let's just go Manamorphose. Make 2 red. We do find a Charbelcher, which we could cast. So let's just do that. Or maybe get the defense grid out first, just to be on the safe side. We are on a turn 4 clock here with this creature in play. Yeah, let's just get defense grid out. Shatter Skull Smashing, tapped and pass. Opponent could keep 3 mana open to still force our Charbelcher, unfortunately. Then they cannot play anything this turn, most likely. They choose not to ephemerate again. There's another Riddler. Might ephemerate this one. Okay. Down to 10. Two Riddlers in exile, one on the board. Okay. This is interesting. Opponent cannot pay for a force. We have 6 mana, so we don't have enough to cast the Charbelcher and activate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6 here. So just play this Pinnacle Monk tapped. Cast Charbelcher. Hope for the best. Pass. If they don't deal with Charbelcher, then they are dead next turn. Possibly, depending on where the mountain is in our deck. Because if we hit a mountain with Charbelcher, then we deal double the damage. So we need to reveal at least 9 cards. Well, we could activate it twice. No, not in our turn, of course. So we have to tap it. Glimpse, okay. Now let's just first go activate this, see what happens. Okay, we deal 36 damage, so they are dead. Alright. We are on the draw. We have a 1-lander, that's small. We have 3 lands, Strike It Rich, Ritual, Ironcrack, Feet. Let's bottom the Strike It Rich and keep this. Opponent Thought Seizes us. Could take a land, but they likely take the Ritual or the Manamorphose. No, they take the Ironcrack Feet. We'll play our Spike Field Hazard and pass. Opponent shocks in a Steam Fence and casts a Psychic Frog. We find a Bitter Reunion. Let's play that. And get rid of the Pinnacle Monk. Draw a Stormscale Scion and a Bitter Reunion. Next turn we have access to 4 mana, which is not enough for Stormscale. Opponent plays Thought Scour. They might be playing Oculus. Opponent discards an Archon. Will likely persist that Archon. I think we're dead here. Yep, there's Archon. I think we should bin the Bitter Reunion. We draw a Strike It Rich. Let's see what we get of the Manamorphose. Valakut Awakening. We could cast that. That wouldn't win us the game. Opponent can discard. No, it's game. They can kill us by discarding their whole hand to the frog. Alright. So we're up against some kind of reanimator deck. Let's board in the defense grids. Blood Moon is good. Guttural Response for counter magic. I think we can get rid of the Strike It Riches. Two Bitter Reunions. And submit. We are on the play now. Yeah, this hand is a keep. Good thought sees us, but we'll see. Opponent is down to 5. Play out our land and pass. Opponent is fetching. Likely. Oh, they are fatalessly looting. So no Thoughtseize. They do have an Archon in the yard, which they will persist most likely. We cannot go off this turn yet. Could play this land and a Ruby Medallion. Could also play out the defense grid. Let's just play out the Ruby Medallion. See, that sticks, alright. If we had another ritual, we could ritual into feet. Yep, there's Archon. Think we will get rid of the Stormscale Scion, since we're not gonna beat our opponent to death with our creatures. This is a tap land, unfortunately. We do have 4 mana, so I think we will win this. Start off with the ritual. Iron Crag. Oh, I tapped one too many. Belcher. See whether that resolves. It does. Alright, we'll shoot at our opponent. And our opponent is dead. Alright, so I think we'll keep our hand as is, even though defense grid is not super good on the draw, I guess. We're not up against a pure control deck, so maybe we should Well, they could have boarded in consigns, actually. Maybe go down on the Stormscale Scion. Go down one Stormscale, one Bitter Reunion. Maybe another Bitter Reunion, one Stormscale. Since we're not winning it on our creatures, they have most likely will have an Archon in play. This could give us a turn 2 Blood Moon. Is that fast enough? By that time they might have a Frog out or an Archon. It's only a 1-lander. Now let's try. Opponent might Thoughtseize us. Thoughtseize our only land away, yep. Okay, we're cooked. Forgot about that. Don't keep a 1-lander. Does the opponent see the line? They take the Charbelcher. Okay, they didn't see the line, I guess. We will shock this in. Might have another Thoughtseize though. Strike it rich and pass. So next turn we could churn out a Blood Moon. Opponent Thoughtseizes us again, possibly taking the Blood Moon. Let's see. Perhaps a ritual. Opponent takes our land, okay. You find the Blood Moon. Let's cast it. Opponent could fetch in response. Does so. Probably getting a swamp, yep. Okay. They are looting. Probably getting an Archon in the yard. Let's open up their graveyard. They loot a Persist away, alright. That is okay. Let's just strike it rich again. Pass the turn. We really need some more land. We could glimpse. Okay. Wasn't expecting a Fulminator Mage. That's unfortunate. I think this is game. To find another land. What could we do here? Could glimpse. It's probably the best. So we get 3 spawn tokens. Okay, they destroy one of our lands. There's another mage. That's unfortunate. Okay. And we can't do anything because we need a red mana to flashback our Strike It Rich. Opponent is looting again. Two Archons that will likely persist. They have another mage. What are the odds? Do find a land here. Opponent has one card in hand. Could play the land, flashback a strike it rich. So when our opponent destroys our land, we still have access to red mana. We will pass. So we have one more strike it rich in the graveyard. Opponent has another Fateless Looting. Oh no, flashes back the Fateless Looting. So no persist. Do have an Oculus in the yard and a Consign. Do they have an Unearth? Let's see. Find another land. Can't do much with it, unfortunately. Just play it out, tapped and pass. Opponent could persist another mage. Unearth it. Opponent flashes back another Fateless Looting. Digging for those persists. Emperor of Bones. That's not super good for us. Let's see what they pick. They cast a Surgical Extraction on Belcher, probably. Yep, that's unfortunate. This game is going on for too long. It's probably making us lose it. They do target an Archon. They should have targeted the Stormscale. I guess we can't really kill this. Just play out our land, I guess. And could flash this back, doesn't do anything. Just pass the turn. Opponent will reanimate the Archon most likely. Target strike it rich, okay. There's the Archon. Sack our spawn token. Let's get rid of the Blood Moon. Oh, we're dead. Alright. We are on the play. 3 lands, 2 rituals, a Blood Moon, and a Reunion. Let's keep. Only have to find a Belcher or a Stormscale Scion. Depending on what our opponent is playing, we could go Bitter Reunion, get rid of the Blood Moon. I think I actually want to keep the Blood Moon. So let's shock this in. Go Ritual. Go Blood Moon. See whether that sticks. Yep, it does. That got our opponent off blue mana. Next turn we will likely play our Valakut as a land and then cast Bitter Reunion. Opponent does have an island, unfortunately. Okay, we're up against Prowess. Quarry Steelcutter, Mox Opal. So Blood Moon is not really a problem. For them, most likely. He does for 2. Need to be aware of our life total now. Since Prowess can deal a lot of damage. Another ritual. Let's cast a Bitter Reunion. Get rid of the other one. We have a Charbelcher. So that means that next turn we will win. No, we won't win because we... Oh no, we can win. We can go Desperate Ritual into Ironcrag. Yep, so let's just play the Spikefield Hazard, tapped and pass. Opponent could have a Spell Pierce. Gotta be aware of that. Some prowess deck play that in the main, I think. Find a Pinnacle Monk. So we don't have to use our ritual actually. Let's just cast it, see whether it resolves. It does. Now we can go Ironcrag. Does that resolve? It does, and now we go Charbelcher. And opponent scoops it up. Alright, so Blood Moon doesn't do much. We'll get rid of it. Vexing Bauble is good against their Mox Opal. That green spell they can pay 2 life for Mutagenic Growth. Raise the Effigy is good against Cory Steelcutter. Pyroclasm I think is a bit too reactive on the draw. He might board in Consign to Memories. Could board in Defense Grid against it, but I don't think it hits the copy. But the first cost would cost them 4. They might board in some counter magic. Let's board in the Guttural Response. I think we can maybe do it 2 Defense Grid. Get rid of 2 Bitter Reunions to Strike It Rich. Run it like that. There's 3 lands. Bitter Reunion, a Ritual, and a Strike It Rich. These come into play tapped. So turn 1 would be tap land, turn 2 tap land, Strike It Rich. Might be a bit too slow. Alternatively, we could shock ourselves for 3. Yeah, let's keep. This allows us to not take too much damage off our lands. Opponent surveils. Keeps the card on top. Medallion is good. Plays Spikefield. Go Cave. See what our opponent does. Arcbound Ravager. Okay, so they might not play any counter magic actually. Okay. If we did have another ritual, we could Go Stormscale this turn. Could play out our Bitter Reunion. I think we should cast our Ruby Medallion. Go Ritual, go Bitter Reunion. Ritual, Medallion, Bitter Reunion, and then discard the Strike It Rich. Draw 2 cards, that's a land. So next turn we have a bunch of Scions in play. Hasty Scions, possibly. Opponent plays a Scalding Tarn. Fetches right away. Opponent gets an island. Still afraid of a Blood Moon. Thoughtcast for 3 mana, that's good. 3 mana, draw 3. Mox Opal is online now. They have 2 baubles in play. This is where Vexing Bauble could shine. If only we had drawn it. Opponent hits us for 1 and passes the turn. They do have access to 1 mana off of the Opal. Could kill the Ravager. If we go Ritual, Feat, can even play one of these, I guess. So let's try to keep access to as much mana as we can here. So we Ritual. Good Sundering Eruption. For 2. Then go Feat. Just to get our storm count up. Let's see. Moment of truth. It resolves, alright. So now we have a bunch of hasty flyers that kills them on the spot. They consign the storm trigger. Okay. Interesting. We just have a hasty 4/4 flyer. Unfortunately. We'll pass the turn. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. They Thoughtcast again. Play Kappa Cannoneer, that's unfortunate. Deal 4 more damage next turn. Can hold the Scion back, but they will likely cast another Cannoneer or cast another artifact to make Cannoneer unblockable. Okay. Sack Mox Opal. Right. Find a Spike Field Hazard. Let's go cast Valakut. Get rid of the Spike Field. Could play this as a land or hold it back. I think we should just hold on to it. We'll hit them for 4 and pass. I think this game is taking too long. And our deck is not well equipped to go long. They are on a turn 3 clock. I think they can kill us now actually. Let's see. Yeah, they can sacrifice artifacts. Okay, we'll concede. So opponent boarded in consign to memory. So let's board in the 3rd defense grid. And get rid of a Strike It Rich. Play it like this. A 1-lander, but we do have a Vexing Bauble. Once we get a 2nd land, we could go Ritual into Stormscale. So I guess this is worth keeping. Opponent is down to 6 cards. Five cards. All right. Let's bolt ourselves. Play this Vexing Bauble and pass. That should stop their Mishra's Bauble, their Mox Opal, some of their other free artifacts. Opponent plays a Scalding Tarn and passes. What do we draw? A Charbelcher. So we can't do much this turn, unfortunately. We will pass. Opponent didn't do anything and is surveilling. Turn 2. Keeps the card on top, okay. Alright, we are stuck on a 1-land hand. I think that if we don't draw our 2nd land next turn, that we are pretty much dead. Let's see. Opponent surveils in their main phase. And passes the turn. I guess they have a bunch of 0 mana artifacts in their hand. I think we'll just get rid of the 3rd Scion. No lands, and what are the odds that you draw 3 Scions. They will likely name Charbelcher with their pithing needle. Yep. And they pass the turn. Alright. There's our land. We will play it and pass. There's a Pinnacle Emissary. They warp it, okay. Bauble counters the Opal, but they do get a 1/1 off of the Pinnacle Emissary. Maybe they could cast a Kappa Cannoneer this way. Thoughtcast, okay. Alright. They have 4 cards left in hand. We find another ritual, so we can 3, 4, 5 get access to 5 mana, which is not enough to cast our Scion. So let's just cast this defense grid and pass. It might be met with a consign. There's nothing we could do about that. We could have cast a ritual to have a guttural response up, but yeah, okay. One more land and we could pop off. Unless they can sign the Storm Trigger again. Glimpse. Yeah, I think we have to glimpse here. Find that 3rd land. This resolves, alright. Let's see. Opponent is thinking. Might have counter magic. They don't. We do have our land here. Medallion that we cannot cast. We could shock this in to have guttural response up, but I don't think that does much. So we'll just play it tapped and get to spawn tokens at the end of turn. Opponent didn't attack us. Opponent didn't attack us last turn, likely anticipating some Scions. Oh, they do attack us now. They still have 1 blue mana up for a consign, possibly. We will take 2. This allows us to destroy Pithing Needle. Possibly cast Charbelcher. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Let's just try to cast Charbelcher, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. See whether that sticks. We have a guttural response for a consign. There's a rebuke. Okay. Pay. Now we should have started with the ritual. This was a misplay, I guess. Now we don't have any mana left, unfortunately. Yeah. Yep, there's Haywire Might. There's a Kappa Cannoneer. Okay, but this is game because it seems like they have 1 mana left. Okay, maybe we should have destroyed the needle on the last turn, but yeah. So let's shock this in. We will do this. See what happens. Okay, we will destroy the pithing needle here. And activate the Charbelcher. Alright. Opponent gives us the GGs. We are on the draw. We have a 1-lander. That's small. 2 lands, a Ruby Medallion, 2 rituals, and Manamorphose. So could play a turn 2 Charbelcher. Right. Yeah. But we do have to put 1 card back, so we can't really. Given that we have enough mana, I think we'll put this Desperate Ritual back. Just play the Pinnacle Monk tapped. Opponent starts off with a tapped Temple Garden. Bitter Reunion. Yeah, let's just play out our Ruby Medallion. Need to hold on to the ritual for Charbelcher. Was thinking we could play ritual then Medallion. But no, let's just hold on to our rituals here. There's a White Orchid Phantom, unfortunately. Destroy our land. They play a Plains and they pass. They could ephemerate this White Orchid Phantom, unfortunately. Let's start off with a Manamorphose. Double red. This is a tap land, I believe. Yep. Another Manamorphose. Double red. So we could cast Charbelcher now. Access to 6 mana. I think we'll play this Bitter Reunion. We will discard the Valakut Awakening. I feel like they could get rid of Charbelcher, so ideally we hold on to it. So a 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we can activate Charbelcher. Let's shock this in. Cast a ritual. Cast another ritual. Cast our Charbelcher. And activate it. deal 47 damage, and win the game. Okay, so we're up against some kind of white-green blink deck. I'll board in the mountain, since they have white orchid phantoms in there. Vexing Bauble could stop an ephemerate. I think the Blood Moons are interesting, but we're on the draw. Pyroclasm could work. We will swap one Spike Field Hazard for a mountain. Go down on the Bitter Reunions. 2 Strike at the Riches. Board in 2 more Blood Moons. Yeah, so we boarded in 2 Blood Moons, 2 Pyroclasm, 1 Mountain. Boarded out 2 Strike at the Ridge, 2 Bitter Reunion, and a Spike Field Hazard. Let's try. You have 5 lands and a Blood Moon. So this is a turn 3 Blood Moon. Could lock them out of the game. If they go after our lands, we do have enough of them. YOLO, let's keep lead on the Spike Field Hazard. Guide of Souls, okay. Ritual is good. Means a turn 2 Blood Moon. Pass. Another Guide of Souls. They have no more lands, okay, that's good. So let's see. I think we'll play the Mystic Peak. Go Ritual. Go Blood Moon. Okay, now we have to deal with these 2 Guide of Souls, which would deal us 2 damage every turn. So we have 7 turns left. Could play our Valakut Awakening. Could also build up to Shatterskull Smashing. See what we draw off the Mana Morphos. Make 2 red. Iron Crag, okay. Then we'll go Valakut Awakening. Opponent is stuck on a 1-lander. We will get rid of the Ritual, Smashing, and the Eruption. See what we draw. Order doesn't really matter. Okay, nothing interesting, we'll pass. Haywire Might. It's unfortunate. Okay. 4, 5, so we're dead soon. Could play the Shatterskull Smashing, killing the Haywire Might. I think we should Glimpse though. Try to survive 1 more turn. I think having an additional spawn token is good. Let's just play this land tapped. Pass to get 3 spawn tokens. They could act as blockers. Alright, we'll block as much as we can. Block the Haywire Might and the Guide of Souls. Next turn we're dead. Could kill the Guide of Souls. We'll just go Strike It Rich. Strike It Rich. Iron Crack Feet. Keeping the spawn token as an additional blocker. Casting our Scions. Playing this. No, we'll hold on to this. We could use this later on. We will just pass. Okay, opponent scoops it up. We are on the draw. We have 3 lands, 2 rituals, and a bitter reunion. Let's keep. Just start off with a Pinnacle Monk tapped. Opponent thought seizes us. We have some redundancy, so that's fine. They'll likely take a ritual, I would say. They take a bitter reunion, okay. They likely have another Thoughtseize to take the second bitter reunion, I guess. So we could shock in a land. Cast Strike It Rich. Is that worth it? Probably not. Just play Mystic Peak tapped and pass. Can't really do much with our mana other than cast Bitter Reunion. Or possibly Sundering Eruption. But let's first see what our opponent is playing. They play a Scalding Tarn and fetch a basic island. They cast a Frog. This could be some kind of Reanimator deck. Gorios perhaps. Let's open up the graveyard. We find another ritual. So I think here we should cast Bitter Reunion, bolt ourselves, cast Bitter Reunion. We will discard. If we discard Strike It Rich, then we give information away, because our opponent doesn't know we have this Strike It Rich. 2, 3 rituals could come in handy. Can go to 3, 4, 5, 6 mana next turn. Yeah, let's discard the Strike It Rich. Okay. Not such a good hit. We'll just pass. We need either Belcher or Stormscale Scion. Opponent plays Dark Slick Shores. Seems to be a Demir deck, so not Gorios Vengeance, perhaps Reanimator, or just Murktide. Opponent draws a card. Thought Scours themselves. There's Murktide. They cast a Murktide. Great. Good thing is that we could kill both using Shatter Skull Smashing. So we have 3 mana, 4, 5, 6. No, 3, 4 Iron Crag. And we have 7 mana. So let's shock in the Sundering Eruption. Cast the Ritual. Cast Iron Crag. Oh, that's wrong. That was a mistake. Yep. That's done. I messed up. Oh well. We'll deal 5 to Murktide. Yeah. That's a punt. I should have cast the other ritual first, so we had 8 mana available. Then we would have cleared the board. Opponent forces this anyway, pitching a counterspell, that's fine. Okay. We really need something to cast. Otherwise we're dead next turn. Yeah, that won't do it. So, could kill the frog. Try to. 3, 4, 5. Now let's concede. So, against the mere Murktide, want to bring in the Blood Moons. Want to bring in the Guttural Response against counter magic, the defense grids. Vexing Bauble hits Force of Negation, but it's not really. It's too limited, I think. Let's get rid of 2 Bitter Reunion. 2 Strike It Rich. Maybe 1 Blood Moon actually. They are not good in multiples. Maybe another Strike It Rich. No, let's actually go with 4 Blood Moons. We boarded out the Strike It Riches, 2 Bitter Reunions. For 3 defense grid, 2 Blood Moon, 1 Guttural Response. We are on the play now. We have a 1 lander. Can't keep this, unfortunately. Again, a 1 lander. To maul this. Okay. Opponent could have a Thoughtseize. This is a tap land. I think we should get rid of 1 land. Probably the guttural response. I don't know, this hand is not good. Play this, tap land and pass. Opponent plays a polluted delta and passes. There's a pinnacle monk. Let's shock that in and play a defense grid. Might have a spell snare or something. Opponent is fetching. Shocks in a watery grave. Yep, there's spell snare. Okay. It's unfortunate. Opponent shocks in a watery grave. Mana morphose, okay. Start off with a defense grid. Play a Sundering Eruption tapped. Pass the turn. Opponent hits us for 1. Oh, they discard a card. Discard another one. Let's see. Ah, they discard 2 oculi. Probably have an unearth. They thought sees us. Probably taking the mana morphos. I think this is game. We have nothing. We don't have any gas. Yep. Mana morphos is gone. They unearth an oculus. Just having to mulligan to 5 on the play is killing. 1 Thoughtseize as well. Sort of like keeping a 4-card hand. Okay, let's see. Opponent could hit us for 12. No, 11. No, opponent has lethal already. Alright, this is game.